What's up, my fellow parents? Hey, most of the people listening to this right now, are going to deeply relate to everything which is going to be talked about on today's episode. And if you, for some reason, you don't really relate, you don't struggle with loneliness or this feeling of being this detached person or wishing you had more friends or a deeper community, then my word for you is you know somebody and you love somebody who does feel this. I mean, loneliness, disconnection is a very deep, serious issue. And I want you to listen to this for your own well-being, for your own mental health, for your own mothering and fathering, but also for your parenting, but also for your friending. Because this is a real-life issue that people often are not talking about enough. And so, Jordan, I'm really pumped. We're going to have some good laughs today. We're going to have a good time today.
No, we're going to try to give you guys some advice too on what to do in this situation. Maybe how you can be a friend for someone who's looking for someone in need, right? Looking for a buddy, looking for a partner, looking for advice. It's hard though because it's like some of us, we're just drowning in our own day to day. So it's like, oh my gosh, the weight of trying to help someone else, that's so much. Or Sean, I don't even have time to think about if I'm that person right now. Like I've just trying to get to tomorrow, But I think it's good that we self-reflect and check on this because I think what you're going to allude to is like if we stay on this path, we'll wake up 10 years later and be like, oh my gosh, where are we? Why didn't I look at myself 10 years ago? Right?
Yes.
How did I get here?
What is happening to me? Because oftentimes you don't, I think what I've learned is people don't know what they're feeling is loneliness. They might just feel lethargic or down or bored or, 40-year-old, itch or whatever that term is, like the midlife crisis. But here's the map out of what we're doing today, everyone. Here's like a little map of today's episode is we're going to really look briefly into how this loneliness epidemic is really happening with parents, especially with moms. We're going to talk about why the village has kind of disappeared and what replaced it. We will talk a little bit about how social media is giving us illusion of connection, but actually is part of the problem. We'll talk about strategies at the end of how you can build support around yourself, but also for your own children.
Oh, smart.
Your own children. And then what we're going to start with is we're going to make this personal. And Jordan and I are going to start off today by telling you about times in our life we were experiencing loneliness, disconnection, fear, and then we're going to tell you how the stories concluded at the end of the episode. So you're going to hear us part 1 and part 2. So Jordan, you want to get started? Yeah. Tell us about a really lonely, difficult time in your life.
The hard part is for us, it's we don't know what to do. Let's say you're listening, you're like, man, this is totally me. I'm in this funk right now. But it's not like you could just go to your buddy and be like, hey, dude, I'm really lonely. You know what I mean? Like a guy to a guy, that would be a little weird. We don't talk about that.
We don't talk. That would be so vulnerable, hard.
And then you'd get made fun of, which then would make me feel even lonelier and not loved or liked by my, friends, or maybe you're doing it to a colleague. So the question is how do we go about this? And for our story, my story is interesting because for everybody who's been listening to this podcast, maybe know, I married my high school sweetheart. We've been together for a very long time. We've got twins. We've got a child with Down syndrome. And so anytime there's been a period where it's I'm lonely, I could go talk to my best friend, right? Someone I've been with basically more than half my life and be like, hey, and we kind of get each other and that helps. But this story, they talk about a time where we both felt lonely, right? Think about the time when anybody's been in that situation, right? You don't know what the answer is going to be. You don't know how you're going to take the next step forward. You really don't know who to go to. And for us, I think that happened when we had our kids, right? Because we had never done this before. Okay. And you have your parents' guidance and you have help from other people, but really it's you're in the trenches, right? You're really in the trenches. And you could read books.
So hard.
And we had twins. They were on opposite schedules. We were so tired. But then our third kid, we were completely surprised. Everything was great. And then we were told that hey, you have a child with Down syndrome. And people listening to this podcast have maybe heard this story before. But at that time, you're in denial. You don't think it's true. And then you go into the what ifs.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to continue what I've been doing with my life up to this point.
Right.
And there was really no one to talk to. You know, your nurse is there. She's like, hey, we're here. There's support groups for you. You could reach out to this support group. And you're just like, that's just noise, you know?
Totally
like,
noise. Support
right.
groups, come on, like strangers.
I'm not going to talk to this random person about.
Like, people aren't 90% plus are not into support groups. That's cool that they're there. We need them.
Yeah.
Please continue.
So you know, there was a time where like me and my wife, we didn't even really talk to each other. We just sat in silence. And in my mind, I mean, the thing went on for probably hours, but we were just like, you know, time's going slow. People are coming in and out of the operating, or not the operating, but the room after you know have your baby, and you're just like doing all these tests, and you're worried: are they going to live? Are they not? You know? And then there's pure worry, and then let's fast forward to where we are now. Like we were really scared, we were really worried. Now we're at the top of that mountain, telling everybody like, "Hey, it's an amazing journey. We're having so much fun. Yeah. It's beautiful. There are some challenges, but like we're saying maybe we could be helpful to someone. And I know it's hard for someone to be like, yeah, I want to talk to you because you're in it. I get it. But I think we're more willing to talk to people who've walked the walk, right?
Yeah.
And actually have gone through it than not. And so we're at a period now where we're trying to be that hope for some of those people who feel lost and don't know what tomorrow holds and are curious if they're going to be able to do what they've always done as a parent with someone with a disability.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you how we got to where we are now at the end of the podcast because it's a really cool thing.
Oh, I'll do the same. I'll tell them where I got. So my story. Thank you for sharing that, man. My story. It's very vulnerable to share because it didn't happen 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It happened about 8 months ago. And Jordan knows about that. And I went through one of the worst times of my life about 10 months ago. And I felt so lonely and scared. And I'll tell you why. But partly one of the things that made it so hard is that I still had to do this podcast with Jordan. I was still making social media
Isn't
videos.
that the worst though? When we're all going through like a dark time in our lives and we have to put on a fake face, like go to work. Hey, how's it going? Oh, it's great. How are you, John? You know, and you're just really like dying inside.
Yeah. Well, because we both kind of have jobs on camera, we both like have to do that. You go on, national television every day to the Weather Channel and you have to talk. And I make parenting videos, even if my heart is breaking or if I'm sad or if I'm feeling unhopeful, my job is to make hopeful, positive videos. Right. And so the short version is that we built a house that we moved into over the summer, and it's an amazing house. And it was very, very, very hard to build this house, and it was hard to get the finances into this house. It was so stressful.
So stressful, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then we moved into the house over the summer, and it wasn't even ready. So we had to live in a camping trailer in 100-degree weather for like 2 weeks with my family. And I'm not complaining. These are like, this is a beautiful home. It's like a dream home, and we worked hard for this. But you move into a house and you have this vision of like, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. This is a new chapter of our life. And my wife Danielle and I, as Jordan knows, like we were missing each other, and big time. We were not getting along. The stresses of the money, of the move, was just getting to both of us. We were not acting like our normal selves. And I can't speak for her, but I believe what she would say is something like this, like, her heart, her mind was not in a positive spot towards me. And my heart, my mind was not in a positive spot towards her. And it was just such a, like we just felt like this is such a joke. This house is a joke. We're such a joke. Like you have this beautiful house and you're making these freaking parenting videos and podcasts, and it's just all a lie because I'm miserable inside, and I feel like I don't even want to talk to my friends about it because I'm just so ashamed that I'm going through this, and then it's like I'm just so sick of bringing drama into my friends' lives. Here we go again, Sean and Danielle having another problem, and like it just was so like it was just dark, man. It was just lonely, and I'm going to tell you how we got through it, but that was a little bit of my story.
And it's good to like Be vulnerable and share. Thank you for sharing that, because a lot of people will see stuff on social and be like, oh, they must have just the perfect life. They've got just the best kids and they've got the best house and they're always so damn happy. I wish I had what they had, right? And the reality is, like, we all have to choose like our path. Like, yes, we're happy, and yes, we put on things on social maybe that's vibrant about us, and some people are more vulnerable than others, and that's great too. And we're going to talk a lot about that, and the vulnerability and where you get community, because the reality is, I think it's important for all of us to share some of these things so that we're not hiding it. But the question is, how do we share it with people when we're looking around and we're like, where is everybody?
Where is everybody? And hang tight, because Jordan and I want to tell you how humans, how people, how friends, how a village was helping us through this to help you strengthen your village, to lead your village, and to build a village around yourself. So here we go. What happened to the village? Why is it gone? There's a lot of reasons why many of us are struggling with loneliness. Many adults. Imagine how our ancestors lived, whether they lived in Ireland like my ancestors did, they lived in China, they lived here in the natives of America, they live in the Bahamas, the India, whether they live in Australia, wherever you came from, our ancestors were living closely together. You know, they lived in huts. They lived in, like we know out of the Bible, we know that what they would do is that if a son got married, they would build an additional room onto the family home, where the son and the wife would then move in with the son's parents. Right, so they would build an additional room, and so they lived in community with aunts, uncles, great grandparents, and now here we are. We are very separated. Our houses are big. People live all around the world. They live all around the country. We are separated. There's an increased mobility, and that is a big reason. Tell us another reason.
Well, what about just like the idea of what a family is, right? You're talking about let's say a large family, and some of those families that live close by with their relatives, like I look at that, I'm like, gosh, you're so lucky. You've got, grandma and grandpa right down the road to help you with the kids. Like, we're one of those families that moved away from our family, so we had nobody. So we really felt the loneliness because we had to move around the country for this contract work that I'm in, which I love, but it was difficult. And so when you look at the nuclear family, you could look at like just the standard family, a husband, a wife, kids, and you all live together, right? But the reality is that's been breaking down. Now we've got single parents raising kids, and divorce rates are going up.
Right.
Let's say there is a family, they get a divorce. You did have a village. You had friends right across the street, and they were so fun. We did game night every Tuesday, and now you got a divorce, and your friends pick to have the spouse be their friends, and now you got to pick.
That's happened to us.
It's terrible.
You got to pick, right?
So
who
hard.
you're friends with now.
You've had to pick a couple. How do you pick? That's so hard.
Super awkward and just
so sad.
It's sad. Like who do we, what do we do? And like, one of the things we do is family camping trips. So the whole family comes, and now they're divorced. So do you invite just the woman with the kids?
Right.
Do you invite the dad? It's just the list.
And so this idea of, let's say, a small village, a small tribe, that's even been breaking down. The tribe you're talking about has been broken down for a long time, but even the smaller tribes are breaking down. And we're becoming more individualistic, which I think is leading to the sadness and leading to this feeling you're talking about of loneliness.
Hey, I just thought of a great idea for our next episode. Oh my gosh. This is not in our notes. Here's another reason why people are lonely and disconnected. Okay, I don't know how I want to phrase this. I'm going to phrase it in a non-PC, very blunt
get
way.
ready, ladies and gentlemen.
We need to do it. We need to do an episode about how many grandparents now, right? Our parents, our children's grandparents, how much they suck at grandparenting, and how that generation, the boomers, are the world's. Some of them, no, it's true, man. This is the thing. They're like the world's worst grandparents. They're super selfish. They don't care about their children, their grandchildren.
Gosh.
And
we cannot do that.
Reason. No, obviously I'm not gonna. I'm gonna title it. We're gonna do it next week, and we're gonna make it so like our generation can send it to the grandparents. So obviously, I won't like.
This is why you're only allowed for one holiday over at my house. Listen to this podcast.
Or no, a lot of them, they won't even come. They're like, nah, I'll just come. They don't want to help out babysitting the kids. No, this is a legit thing, man. I don't know what we'll call it. We probably won't call it bad grandparenting. We'll have to make it like an inviting title, like, "Hey, somebody sent this to you because you're a grandparent."
No, there's that movie with Zac Efron and Robert De Niro. It wasn't called Bad Grandpa. Just name it Bad Grandpa.
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. No grandparents gonna want to listen to it. Like we got to have a good title of it. Okay, so here's another reason why. Okay, what's happening to our village? This is a huge reason, especially here in the United States, especially in certain states like California.
Yeah.
In California, it's so tough to afford a home. So there is a lot of 2 adults in the home that are both working full time, dual income households. If you have both people working, you don't have a stay-at-home parent, you're going to be very busy. You have less time for neighborly connection. Right. You might be exhausted. One of my best friends, for example, he is an artist. He makes movie posters.
Oh, that's cool.
Like that we've all seen.
That's awesome.
It's super cool.
Job.
He's a professional, amazingly talented artist. His birthday is coming up, and he gets up at 4:30 in the morning every day, and he goes to the gym.
Good for him.
And
way to tackle it.
He goes to CrossFit, and then he comes back. He's an amazing dad. He serves his kids.
Awesome.
He's present with his wife. He helps out. He works from home. He's constantly helping out. He's constantly with the kids. He works till 6 or 6:30 p.m. every night with his job, dog.
Oh, dang. He's got to be burning the candle at both ends. But if you read all the success books, this is what you do. You wake up early. You get to the grind. You work late, and hopefully one day you'll be free. But during that process, it could be pretty lonely.
Do you think he has time
no,
for
of course
friends?
not.
Do you think
he's
he has
exhausted?
Time? He's exhausted. Right. You know, when a friend says, "Hey, come over for dinner at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night," he's like, he's got to work, and plus he's got a 10-year-old and a 3-year-old. He's got to put those kids to bed at a certain time. And then another one of my friends, he's an air traffic controller, and they make really good money. He's really good with money. He owns a couple rental properties. He just bought our new one. And that homeboy works 6 days a week. 6 days a week. And then I just found out what he does on his 7th day. He just watches TV, man. And I don't blame him. He works out at the gym 7 days a week. So he's jacked, and he's a great guy, but it's like when you're working so much, it's hard to make friends and be close with people.
That's why I really like the book 4 Hour Work Week. Shout out to Tim Ferriss, because he kind of talks about how we shouldn't be working that much, right? It's great to grind and do that, but you also have to have a life. All right, what about where you get your fix? Think about outside of work. I asked this to a colleague the other day. I'm like, hey, man, we were just chatting in the hall. Yeah. And we were talking about a buddy of mine who's a metal detector, and he goes to Europe and finds these amazing treasures in Europe, like.
So that's his hobby, metal detecting.
He's got his Instagram page is amazing. What? He'll find daggers from the first century. It is wild. So that's what he does, and he loves it. And so I was asking another buddy, I'm like, so what do you do? What's your hobby? He looks around, he's like, man, I don't have a hobby. I'm like, well, what do you do? Like, what do you do for fun? He's like, man, I got kids. I work and I go home with my kids. And I'm like, great, because he's a great dad. But I'm like, you got to find something, man. You got to find something.
I hate that answer.
And so a lot of people would get that sense of community at maybe churches, right? Religious organizations, right? That's on the decline. Just look it up right now. And I just read a couple of articles where it says, the Christian church has been on the decline for a while, and it may have bottomed out, and it may be rebounding. So I hope that's the case. Hopefully people are figuring out that they need community, because it's so important. But like with my kids, it's so funny. Like I get them to church. One of the ways they get community, which we'll talk about this a lot more, is like they go outside and play, but sometimes they'll like FaceTime each other and they'll play video games. So it's like they're playing with their friends while they're talking and playing video games. Instead of like, remember you and me, we'd meet up and we play at each other's houses. Nowadays, they're not doing that. They're staying home and just talking on the phone.
Yeah, I wasn't alive in the wild west, and I'm glad I wasn't, because I heard it's actually very violent. And
you'd be dead by 8. You'd be dead by 8.
Right, lots of death, lots of violence. Like people think our country is going downhill. No, like I'd much rather live in America in 2025 than any other time. But like I wasn't there, but what I believe is like, back in the old days, they would move, and the church was like
it was right in the middle of the town.
Community. That's where you do barbecues there, you meet people, and I actually see that here, because here in Sacramento we have a lot of Russians and Ukrainians, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. My personal massage therapist, he came to my house recently. His name is Victor. He's incredible. Homeboy doesn't speak a lick of English.
Really?
Man. Like,
how did you invite him?
Like, he can't
Were you
say,
just like,
He can't speak one sentence. He's straight off the boat from Russia, man.
Gosh.
He is straight Russian, dude. And I was using Google Translator to talk to him about Putin and about Russia. And
This is hilarious.
I've talked to probably 25 Russian Ukrainians in the last 6 months because our builder was Russian Ukrainian, and he loves to hire Russian Ukrainians. And many of these, they barely speak any English. They're straight off the boat.
So is their culture different than ours when it comes to like community? Have you talked about that with them?
This is this is the moral of the story. Where's the story going? Here's the moral of the story: is that there's a lot of Russian Ukrainian churches in the Sacramento area, so they come.
What
here.
is it? Christian based? What is it? Like what is a Russian?
Christian, evangelical, normal Christian, and a lot of them that they come here. And they meet each other. They find their kind.
Their community.
And then they get community. And they help each other out.
Good.
And that's why I asked Victor. I said, Victor, do you have any friends? And I've been working with him for like 2 years now. I found him at a different massage therapist before he went out on his own.
Yeah.
Right. And he said, no, I just came here. I barely know anybody. And I said, you should go check out some of these Russian churches. Make some friends. I was like, do you go to church? He's like, no. I was like, go check it out, man. Find some people. He's got like a 20-year-old daughter, a 15-year-old daughter. He's got a wife. He seems like a great guy. I don't know because he seems nice because I barely talk to him. But like, I want him to find community, you know? So, all right. Here's another reason why. Let's keep moving. Should we keep moving on? So I can't imagine this is a little bit of a joke, but it's kind of serious. I can't imagine a husband and a wife in the year 1900, whatever country they live in, whether they live in Japan or they're living in Portugal or the United States, in the year 1900, and one of them says, hey, let's go out and meet some friends, and let's go be with some people. I can't imagine one of those adults saying to the other, oh, I don't know, I look like a mess. The house is a mess. I'm embarrassed. I don't know, right? I wasn't there.
That's a good point.
What we have now is this Pinterest perfect mom myth adds to this pressure of you have to look a certain way, you have to be so tidy, and I don't want to go out because I don't want to be judged and I'm like a slob. That's so real for many people, especially women.
Yeah, and I'll get that too. Like we'll be going somewhere and my wife will be like, is that what you're wearing? I'll be like, should I dress up? But what's funny is like sometimes, and I dress up for work every day of the dang week. I just want to be cash, I'm just like, I want to put on shorts, put on flip flops, and wear a ball cap. And it's okay with me if some of the women who want to go out do that too. Throw on a baseball cap and let's go. You don't have to get dolled up. But I get it. They want to get dolled up and women want to get dolled up with each other. And I don't want to take that away from them. But I also get what you're saying. It doesn't have to be this Pinterest perfect, but this could lead to what I'm going to say next. And think of our busyness and our schedules. It could lead to burnout, which is why your buddy who's an air traffic controlman, shout out to what he or she does. That's awesome. We need more of them. But you have one day off. You've burnt so much energy 6 days a week. I just want to chill on the couch. I don't want to, and if you're an introvert, going to a party with extroverts, that takes so much of my energy. It burns me out for 3 days. So I just want to stay home. Man. So I get it. So the hard part, is like making friends and having a village. It's not easy, especially nowadays. Before, it could be a lot easier. You go outside and everyone's meeting right there. Now you have to work and you got to grind. It's like another job.
Right. Well said, man. And so let's talk about another reason why we're struggling with loneliness is it's good to prioritize good things. So it's good to prioritize exercise. It's good to prioritize work. It's good to prioritize family. It's good to prioritize your kids' sports. It's good to prioritize going to market. It's good to prioritize making good, wholesome foods. There's a long list of things to prioritize. But one of the reasons why people are dealing with loneliness is that they're prioritizing other things, but not their social community. They're like, you know what? I don't have time because I have to work. I don't have time because I like to work out 6 days a week. I don't have time for friends because my kids play sports 7 days a week.
Right.
And I'm not poking holes in anybody. I'm just saying, hey, it's like we want to develop a well-balanced life with incorporating social and deep friendships. Otherwise, that could lead to loneliness, and also just something to think about, everyone. Like, your kids are watching you, so they're seeing, like, do my parents have close friends? Do they have someone that they can go to in their time of need. And if your kids look at you and they see you as lonely, or they see you as just kind of a lone ranger, well, then they might say to myself, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. And they might think like, you know what? I don't need friends. I don't need a village. And that's something that we're thinking about. Jordan, a couple more reasons why people are so disconnected.
Well, I mean, one of the questions I have for you is, we know how addicting screens can be. And so you're right. Like sports can be, you can overwhelm your kids with so many activities they don't have time to. But I could also argue, like, if you give them too much free time, they're going to be on that addictive tech, and that's going to even make it worse. So there's a balance there that you talk about a lot in your podcast, and obviously in your social updates that you give us about how to have that balance. But it can be so difficult for us parents, because if we don't keep our kids on such a tight schedule, then it's this crazy parenting, stress of having to keep them off tech, which is one of the big things we're going to allude to moving forward in this podcast.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like I don't want to judge anybody, Jordan, but if another man says, hey, what do you do? What are your hobbies? If he says, I don't really have that many hobbies, normally what I think of is this guy's watching a lot of TV. He's watching a lot of TV. And that's the thing. Like, I love sports. I love NBA basketball, NFL football, but there's a lot of grown men, adults who are just addicted to sports.
Or TV shows. I was just talking this with people. They're like, oh my gosh, have you seen this? Have you seen that? And I'm just like, I'm to the point now where everybody I'm around is talking about TV shows, and it takes up so much of our time, man. It takes us so much. And maybe that's how they're getting community, because they're talking about it in like a circle at work. But like, to me, I look up to my neighbor who, he doesn't care about any of that stuff. He doesn't care about football, doesn't care about basketball, doesn't care about shows, and is just living his life. He's an outdoorsman and gets, finds his own fix. I'm like, man, that's so cool. So as we kind of move on to the next segment, I think the reality is a lot of this stuff can be hard to think about. It could be hard to digest and realize we are part of our own problem, and then we got to figure out a habit to get out of it, because and sometimes that friend can pull us out of it if we have that friend to go to.
In 2021, a study was done and found that 61% of American adults report feeling
61%?
61%, everyone. And parents of young children, not a big shocker here, were among the most likely to report isolation. So the emotional toll is here, it's happening, and it's invisible. And like Jordan said, most adults, especially men, are not going to come out and say to anybody, hey, I just got to tell you, I've been feeling pretty lonely
that's not
recently.
Going to be a thing.
Tell us a few words on on the emotional toll.
Listen, we all get burnout. We all get overworked. We overparent. We've got to do so much. And that's why there's always that saying, you got to take care of number one, right? Whether you like reading a book, you got to have something for yourself. And so we know parental burnout can be even higher when you don't have that support system, because you have no one to go to. Then I'd say, hey, maybe just grab a journal and start writing it down. At least you're getting it out there, right? It's like we have to start somewhere. We know the anxiety rates increase. Depression increases when you don't have friends to go to or someone to talk to, especially in moms. There's that shame, that guilt, when we feel like we should be able to do it all. We have this weight on us, like we're a miracle mom, we're doing everything we can. But then it's like, how are you surviving? How are you floating? Like I'm looking at you and I'm like, man, you're a superhero, but you got to just calm down every once in a while. Here's another stat. According to a study that was done in 2022, it was a study in Frontiers in Psychology. Social support is one of the strongest predictors of maternal well-being and resilience. Who do you surround yourself with? Do you have anybody to go to?
Yes. Come on.
And I don't want to bash on anybody, but when you're with those people, are they sucking your energy or are they giving you energy? Are you with these people and you're just talking smack about other people? I'm going to tell you, don't be around those people. That's not healthy. You need people that, yes, you can vent to every once in a while, but you also need people that are going to challenge you and tell you, hey, let's move on from this topic and talk about something great.
Here's some good news, everyone. Okay. Villages are here. They're around you right now. You don't have to drive. You don't have to move to a different state.
Yeah, but how do I become part
the
of
question,
one, Sean? How do I get accepted into one?
So here's, let me open your mind. Right. We're going to give you two things to think about here. First is like, where is the village now? Where are people creating a village? Right? Where are people creating a village? It'd be great to survey 100 people. Like, hey, where is your village? Like, do you have one? And if you do, here is some ideas. Okay, so sports. For some people, that is their village. They play the same sport every year, and they have a village. So they don't just see these people at the practices once or twice a week. They see them at the games on Saturday, and maybe they see them afterwards. Travel ball. A lot of people online, they love to bash travel ball. And I have some concerns about travel ball too, about a lot of ramifications. But if you find someone who in that travel ball community, sometimes a lot of these parents, they love it. They're going to hotels. They're staying up late with other parents. They're making memories. Their kids are growing up together. They're just like having a blast, right? Do you have any travel ball parents that just love travel ball? Oh, hold on.
Oh, sorry. I think I muted you guys. Sorry. I was going to say, there's a group of guys that I'm friends with, and they brought in someone from like travel ball that I had no idea about because my kids aren't a part of that sport, and now he's part of the group, and they all do travel ball together, and I'm not a part of that, but that we all became friends, which is totally cool. Yeah. So I knew it could be a little tough, and really travel ball, I feel bad for some parents who I'm like, hey, you want to do this weekend? Hey, you want to? Well, nope, we got travel ball, and I'm like, oh, but then they're gonna have to find their village somewhere else because they're always on the road.
You said something a second ago I want you to talk about. What do you mean by they're a part of the group? Because I think your group is the next area of people find their village. You have a group on your street or your cul-de-sac.
Yeah,
right?
it's like the group we have is like the neighborhood group. So we have like a group chat, and it's called Neighborhood Plus this outsider because he's an outsider. But we just happen to all live here. Anybody can be in, but it's just we all live next to each other, so it's convenient.
Dude,
it's nice.
I'm so jealous. Dude,
it's lucky.
Of that.
We got lucky.
I think everyone listening to this has got to be so jealous of that.
It's hard, but if you're going to buy a house, you know what? I wish I would have done more research because it would be cool to like know if you're going to live with cool neighbors or not. Because I mean, you don't know who you're going to live next to when you buy a house, right?
You don't know.
And if you could find a place that has a great neighborhood, maybe you could go on Facebook. I know a guy who moved in here. He went onto our Facebook group, the neighborhood Facebook group, and said, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm about to buy a house. Can you tell me about the neighborhood?" And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, it's amazing!" And I'm like, "That's a great way to do some research to see if your kids are going to be similar to kids in that neighborhood."
I have a friend from San Diego, and he said, "Hey, he moved up to my same city, and he said we didn't know where we were going to live in this city, but we knew which neighborhood we wanted to be in, and we were going to wait until we found a house in that neighborhood." And then they have, I mean, they're so social, and they have what you have. They have a tight knit. Like group, and they travel together.
I have a friend,
and it's in the
neighborhood. A friend from I was a colleague when I was in Seattle, and he was a specific religious descent. I think it was either Orthodox Jewish or it was one of the hardcore ones where on Sabbath you literally are not allowed to use any technology. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
So he's like,
Orthodox
there's
Jew,
only 2 neighborhoods in all of Seattle that I can move to because on Sundays we're not allowed to meet, so we have to like have people around to entertain us and enjoy. Yeah. So he had to wait until that neighborhood became available because of that same reason.
You know how our people find a lot of villages is they're camping families. So they either tent camp a lot, or they go and invest in a trailer. And if you're lonely, if you're looking for a community for your kids or for yourself, that is a great idea.
I've seen that at campsites actually. They're like, we come to the same weekend every year, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's part of how that's one of our communities. We have a camping community. Here's another community that we have. I've told you that one of the best decisions my wife Danielle and I made is at the beginning of COVID, we bought a pontoon. And so we host 3, sometimes 4, normally 3 families, 2 to 3 families on that boat a lot during the summer. And it just really brings people together. We're out there for 4, 5, 8, 10 hours sometimes, just on the boat, living it up, eating 2 meals and doing that. And then more ideas for where to find community is sometimes you go to church, you can find a community. And sometimes you go to church, you can actually feel very
I remember joining a small group when I was moving around a lot. And it was so hard because they were all cliquey, and I was like, I want to be a part of a group,
Yep.
and I tried, and I had to stop because I just felt weird. It's hard to like find your village.
It's hard. It's hard even in a church where it's supposed to be a social group. Like that's why you've got to like find your little micro group inside of a church. And any other ideas? Where else have you seen people? That's all I got.
So,
people
like,
finding their
you've
communities.
got kids in school, right? If you have kids and they have birthday
Mm-hmm.
parties, then say yes. Take your kids there. You'll meet their parents.
Mm-hmm.
You'll learn about. Maybe you'll become friends. It's like, oh, my friend, my daughter's friends with your daughter, and we became great friends because of it. I love stories like that. I think it's super cool. And I still think your village can be family, right? Like if it's extended family, we talk a lot about if you don't have that
dream,
nearby.
right?
I know there's family drama too. I get it.
That's the dream.
But if you could have
nearby family that you like, they like you, they invite you over. Hang tight because I'm going to share with you my top 2 tips on how to develop a deep group and community in a couple minutes. But here's 2 quick stories that I thought of that I want to share. Here's something I thought of. I have a new friend. His name is Chris Cordozo, and I really love this guy. And we met because our kids go to the same school. But here's the thing about Chris. If you look up like social chair in the dictionary, if you look up, show me a picture of someone very skilled at connecting, rallying people together,
I'd see you.
Helping people to connect, you would see
I'd see
Chris. Thank you.
See Sean Donohue.
So Chris is so good at like connecting people. He's a connector. So go find someone in your life like a Chris who gets joy and happiness.
Those are hard to find, dude.
Out of connecting people. They are hard to find, but just keep your eyes open. I'll show you how to meet a couple guys like Chris or women like Chris. And here's a second idea. I have a friend. His name is Jesse Van Zee. He lives in the San Francisco Bay Area. He said, I want to get deeper involved in my community, and I want to find something. So he started going to the dad's meetup at his kids' elementary school.
Before. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And he just loved it, and he nerded out on it, and he got deeper involved. He actually ended up running for the local politician school board. He won, and cool. He's a politician now. Awesome. And he's doing great things with the dads, and that dad group or that mom group at your local elementary school can be a great thing, especially when your kids are younger and you kind of grow up together.
Sporting
Those are some
events,
ideas.
like
now let's
for
talk
adults,
about,
I think that's why pickleballs took off because it's just so easy to play, and you can get
pickleball.
That
so
social
easy.
Group can be really fun, but you can find anything you're interested in. And one of the things is a lot of people they wait to get invited, but I would encourage you to be the first to reach out, right? So this could be an action step for you guys listening. Like if you're sick of not getting invited, all these guys are hanging out and you've been trying, now it's your turn to be like, okay, you guys can come to my house. Have a party over here. Or, hey, we're going to do happy hour on a Thursday, looking for as many people to get together. Totally. I've been, stuck up. It's been winter. I finally want to get these pasty legs out and get some sun on them. So let's go to a balcony somewhere, and enjoy a happy hour on a Friday or something.
Yeah. Here's another idea for you. Everyone, if you're taking notes at home, this is the last part of our episode. We're going to share the conclusions of our story to you. Here's action steps to build meaningful relationships as a parent for yourself and for your kids. Be the first to reach out. Idea number 2. Host a casual gathering or a fun party. Host a Super Bowl party, Valentine's party, St. Patrick's Day party. Host a 4th of July party. Host a first day of spring party. Host a party. I went to a Burning Man party 2 weeks ago. My friend Genevieve had her 40th birthday party, and it was a Burning Man.
Oh, I thought you actually. I didn't know Burning Man was back. I was like, you went to Burning Man? Okay, so what does that mean?
Party.
What does a Burning Man theme mean? I don't even know. I've never.
It means you dress up. What? Like you would.
I don't even know.
That's the cool thing about Burning Man. Anything goes.
Okay.
Anything goes. So, man, we got the outfits. Like, I was really vibing on an all-white linen outfit on with a
I saw you. I didn't know what that was.
White barn hat.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, man. So, and Danielle had this beautiful, sexy white outfit on, and the outfits were incredible. It's just like we met some friends there. Just start being that family that hosts fun parties.
I like that idea. Right? That's a great idea. Okay, I got another one. How about you find let's say you do have a hobby. Okay, I'm going to say, let's say you're this guy who likes puzzles, or shoot, you like to knit, man. You just like sewing. Did you know in the Coast Guard, one of the mandatory things you have to learn is how to sew? That's like part of the criteria. My brother would like be
Really?
he'd be like, oh yeah, like he had a sewing machine. Like it was part of the whole thing. Anyway, let's say it's a weird hobby. We're trying to find a buddy that enjoys what you enjoy, and it can be hard, right? But if we have so many platforms that I think a lot of this theme is to get off of social media, because you could think that your village is on social when in reality it's not real. They're not there. You can't go and see them in the eye and talk to them in person. But there are platforms where you can find some of those people, whether it's a meetup in your group, who enjoy that hobby, and that would maybe get you to start your village process.
Well said. If you love woodworking, find some other people who like it. If you like running, don't run by yourself. If you like just having coffee and, join a mom walk.
A book
go
club.
out there and find. There's so many things out there. You've got to be intentional. Next idea is when the time is right, when you feel safe, when you're around those right people, be real and talk about your feelings. Be vulnerable with people in your life.
And I want to stop for a second, but like, when do we do that? Because like I could, I've been friends with some dudes for a long time, but if I were to open that door, they might look at me like, I don't want to know this stuff.
But don't you agree? I know you do, Jordan. I know you agree with what I'm going to say. There's a big difference between, going to dinner with somebody and you're just talking about the weather, or talking about your next trip to Cancun, and you're drinking together, versus like genuine friends.
Yeah.
Like, these people care about me.
Right.
They care about my kids. They care about my marriage. And how you get there is this beautiful thing called vulnerability. And that's a way to gauge and also judge and test. Is this someone that I really trust? How would they respond to me being vulnerable?
You're really good at opening people up to do that. Have you ever tried to open up with someone and they just kept shutting the door and you couldn't get in?
Absolutely.
Do you keep trying, or do you just move on?
Yeah, we kind of move on.
Just
like that's not what Danielle and I are looking for. Danielle is highly interested in genuine people.
Yeah.
And she has a very low tolerance for someone who just wants to have fun and just keep it talking about shallow stuff.
Okay, that's good. And some of us listening might want
to keep
that
it real.
Deep.
Yeah.
It's just finding some people who are willing to open up when so many of us have been hurt for so long. It can be tough to open up,
Well said. Well, that's the thing. Like, you could be around 1,000 people and still be lonely. You could be on a pontoon with 10 other people and still be lonely, because people want to be seen. They want to be known. And true, like, relationships isn't just somebody you go out there and you have a Dr. Pepper with. It's like you have a Dr. Pepper with them and you say, how's your life?
How's everything
your
really
health?
going?
How's your, what's really
Yeah,
going
you
on?
good?
So,
the idea of the class, not class clown, but the popular kid, right? Whether it's the jock or the cheerleader, or just the idea of a popular kid. And then you know how that idea in your mind when you're a kid, you're like, oh, they're just so perfect. Everyone loves them. And then you find out later in life, like, oh my gosh, they did something terrible, or something bad happened, or they have they went off the deep end, or I think of, it's a terrible analogy, but Robin Williams, he had everything, and then of course he ended his life, and you're like, gosh, what happened there? I think a lot of these people, they look for, maybe they don't really look for the right village. They're just looking for approval from a million villages. They're like, oh, dude, this clique likes me. Good. Oh man, I got that clique. They like me too. And I have my choice. I can go to this clique or that clique, but everything's shallow, like you're saying. So next tip here, maybe make everything smaller. Invest in just one or two deep friendships, right? Sometimes you have to start with large numbers and then you whittle it down, because if you're spread too thin, if you're looking for approval from too many people, you're not going to really have what Sean's talking about here. And it sounds like what Sean's talking about is actually what life's all about.
Well said, man. That was really well said. All right, guys, we made it to the end of our episode. Here's my top 2 tips on how to develop deep friendships in a disconnected world. Number 2 tip is to become a family who hosts dinner parties. It's just
I like that. That's an easy tip.
That's it.
We're going to do Taco Tuesday, but we're going to do it on Friday.
And invite people over and try to do it as much as you can. And then in time, what you'll find out is, I like this one couple, but not the other couple. In time, you'll find out I connected with this one person, but my spouse didn't connect with their spouse. So, they're out. You're just don't wait for someone to invite you over. Just become someone who is coming over, and
you're the creator.
And you'll find
be the
your
creator.
people.
I
be
like
the creator. Be the leader. right? People and everyone likes being invited to dinner parties. Free
Yeah.
food. You don't have to cook. You don't
Yeah.
have to clean. You got any tips?
Well,
for,
I'm a
how to
big like
develop
outdoor guy,
friendships?
so it's like a lot of the stuff I do by myself because it's just like you want to be quiet, you want to. But you know what I've always enjoyed is being out in nature with someone, even like if they're a newbie or if it's just like you get to experience. Like one time I saw a bear. And like now it's cool because I'm like, dude, you remember that one time we saw a bear together? Like it's so much better having a memory with someone. And so again, just be the inviter. I think is the ultimate thing here.
That's good. Yeah, be the inviter. Like, don't just do things alone. Here's my number one tip. All right, I think you won't be surprised by what I'm about to say. Okay, so here you are. Whether you're at a dinner party, or you're camping, whether you're on a boat, whether you're at the local park, that's something we didn't talk about.
Local park.
You took your kids to the park, but you had a park meetup. Instead of just talking about shallow stuff, what you're watching on Netflix, what you're doing next weekend, create those micro moments of real talk. Like, hey, how's your marriage? Or hey, just thinking about you. I know that you said that was kind of hard last weekend. How's that been? Send someone a text. Say, hey, just what's new? How you doing? How's this one thing? Like, how you really doing? That is what we really need more of, that depth, that intimacy of connection, not just the fun and games.
And then if they're not giving it to you, I would say maybe don't pry too much because you don't want to be that kind of person. You don't want to be like, oh, I can never get around them because they just keep asking me all these crazy questions.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, just maybe look, it's like a dance, right? We're just looking for dance partners.
Yeah.
Like where are we at? Right? What is a good fit for us? But that's part of the problem of being married. It's like isn't just for us, but you're trying to look for someone that our spouse connects with as well.
That's good.
So Jordan, take us back in time.
Again,
your kid.
We had our kid.
Your story, and I'll finish
mine.
mine.
In the hospital.
Yeah,
we're just so lost, and we were in an area where we had no family. We didn't have anybody. All right, it was just me, my wife, and I believe we had my wife's mother living with us at the time, but she wasn't there. She was at home taking care of our twins, and we were just like, what do we do? And at that time, we had been working on building up a community at the local church that we were at. And we church hopped for a long time, and we just found this one, and it felt great. People were really nice. And people there made the effort to invite us. People there made the effort to check in on us. We didn't really have to go out and be the inviter, especially in a new market, right? Or a new city. So we found people who were very genuine, and they came to us in that moment of loneliness and were there for us. And they didn't have to do that at all. They just did that out of the goodness of their heart. And they were just like, we're here for you. We will pray for you. We will mourn with you, because you're kind of mourning the loss of a typical child. And you're like, I thought this was going to be a typical child. I have to mourn the idea of this is not typical anymore. And I have to accept the idea of a child with a disability. And they showed us this sense of like love that like we were like, this is the craziest thing. It got us out of that hole so much faster than we would have gotten out of that hole on our own. And that's the power of a village, right?
Yes.
That's the power of like other people seeing when you're down and coming to you and be like, hey, I got you. Let me give you a piggyback ride and climb out of this mountain with you. Or they'll see you down in the hole. They'll drop a ladder down there. They'll come down there. They'll sit right next to you and be like, hey, we're just going to chill here. We're going to chill. When you're ready to go, I'll go with you. It's like, thanks. Thanks for being there. Good stuff.
That was great.
It really helped us.
That was
so much.
I love those visuals. I'm just like enjoying what you just said and thinking about the moments of my life of people jumping in, getting that ladder and jumping in the hole with me.
And even though we moved away from all those people, they will always have a place in our heart. We could go back and we'd connect right away.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because like we move a lot and I lose some of that village, but then I get to get a new village. And I still technically have that village. It's just we live so much farther now.
One of the themes I got listening to your story and thinking about my story, which I'm about to tell you, is the word trust.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Okay. Can I trust you that when I invite you over for dinner, or ask you to meet up at the playground, that you're going to show up? and you're going to be cool. You're going to be normal. All right. Most people are really trustworthy in that capacity. But what you're talking about is a whole different level. What you're talking about is, hey, can I trust you that if I share my personal life with you, and I share my pains with you, that you're not only going to respond well in the moment, but you're going to follow up with this. Like, you're not just going to ignore this next week. You're really going to be there. And you genuinely care.
Right. But sometimes you don't even have to ask that. You won't know the answer to that until you're in a situation and someone steps up to the plate that you didn't expect that person to step up. Like, oh my gosh.
You never ask that. You will never ask, hey, can you
no,
just
I meant
have
even
to
mentally.
find out?
Yeah, you'll find out.
Yeah, no, well said. You're right. And no one ever talks about this. That's what I'm talking about. You don't ask, hey, can I trust you with this information? Are you going to be there for me? Or are you going to, you just have to find out. It's vulnerable. It's scary. So for me, I remember it very vividly. I had these 3 families over at my house because we are that house. This new house we built in, we love to host people, and we have people over a lot. And we were having this pattern of these couples were coming over every week for a barbecue, and we were getting together to talk about marriage and talk about our lives. And we were committed to doing like a 10 weeks of this over the summer, late summer. And I was hanging out outside, and I pulled the 3 men together. Their names are Charlie, Brandon, and Mike. And I said to them, hey, guys, I got to tell you something, man. I know that I might seem like I'm doing well, but I'm not.
Oh, you pulled them to the side during this meetup.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the evening. Their wives were inside. And I said, I got to tell you, man, we look like we're doing fine, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not doing fine. I'm like really hurting every day, all day. And something is wrong with me, and I'm really off. And I just want to be real with you. If it looks like I'm doing fine, I'm faking it. And they did exactly what your friends did. They showed their true colors. And normally when people say that, you showed your true colors.
Bad. Yeah.
But these 3 men, they showed their true colors, that they really do care about me, about my wife, about my children, about my mental health. And they all showed in their own ways how they cared, how they loved, and how they were supporting me. And that could be, they all did it in their different ways.
Can I ask,
their own skill set,
if
with their own
someone
time.
comes to anyone listening with a predicament like that, sometimes we don't know how to react. What did they do? Were they just like in that moment, like, oh man, this has been great, but wife's calling me, gotta go, we'll talk about this later? Or, like what?
No, well, that's the thing. They all think of the love languages too. We all have these skill sets. We all have these gifts. So with one of the guys, Mike, he's a big dude. He played college football. He's just a really gifted, kind of like communicator. He's very gentle. He's almost like a counselor. And so with him, I asked him if I can meet with him once a week for coffee. And he went out of his way, away from his family, away from his work, to meet with me for coffee once a week. So I could just vent, and he could just listen and encourage me.
That's great.
And then another guy, he works a lot. He's the guy who gets up at 4:30 in the morning, and what he did was he just checked in with me via text here and there. And when he would come over, and whenever I'd want to just hang out, he would be over, and he was just hanging out. And whenever I want to hang out and do something fun, he's like, I'm down, right?
Nice. And
then the other guy, one of his skill sets is acts of service. He loves helping out. So I'd ask him, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And he has the time to come and help me out with different things.
Nice.
While the other 2 didn't have the time.
Yeah.
Right?
And you
So
asked, you made sure to be like, yeah, come help me. That created more of a
bond.
bond.
I had to. Yeah, I have to be vulnerable by asking for really what is my love language? What do I really need? So this, for example, that the last friend, Brandon, him and his wife came over and they helped us pack our house, man,
that's so nice.
And unpack
That's
our
so
house.
nice.
Hours packing, right? And that's just he may not, he may not have the communication skills as maybe a different friend would, but he has so many other skills that people don't have, of giving and charity and service and leadership.
That's great.
You know what I mean? So I think that I'm really glad you
Yeah,
asked that because I kind of got to just relive that moment.
And that's so
right?
great. And each of them had something else unique, which is kind of maybe you needed all of it in that moment. And that's so great. So a village isn't just one person, even though we're having, one of our tips is to like get 1 or 2 deep connections, but like maybe it's to have 3 or 4 because each one can give you something different. It's cool.
Cool. And then everyone listen to this, you have something to offer.
Yeah.
You may not have the most amount of time to offer somebody, but you have other things. You maybe aren't the best at communication or counseling, but you have a lot of time. Some of you don't have a lot of time, but you're good at texting, or you're good at encouraging, or you're good at sending like funny memes, or you're good at just bringing food over, or you're good at hugs. You're good at
hugs.
You're good
I
at
love a good
pats
hugger.
on the back. You're good at like, hey, organizing something for a family who's not good at organizing. You're good at hosting, right? You're good at leadership when other people need leadership. We all have these skills, and that's what a village is, like this mishmash of differently gifted people loving and supporting each other. And that's all we
want.
To parent with a village, finding connection in our disconnected world.
Thank you. This was great, man.
Woo!
This is really good. We all need
this is deep, man.
We got to go back to like old school community. So let's do it.
Let's do it. And then next week, I'm going to start doing some research on grandparenting, the grandparenting episode. We're doing it.
All right, let's do it. Sounds good.
I'll see you all then. Hang tight. That'll be a good one. Much love, everyone.